Yu was a hopeless high school student with no real talent of his own. Unlike his mother, a world-famous A-list actress admired as a genius who had even graduated at the top of her class from a prestigious university overseas. Hoping to follow in her footsteps, Yu transferred to Psycha Academy, an elite school where gifted students came to cultivate their talents. On his first day, Yu was approached by a guy from the martial arts club who insisted on sparring with him to see what kind of talent he had, considering who his mother was. Even though Yu told him multiple times that he couldn't fight, the guy ignored him and kept hitting him, demanding that Yu show his talent. Meanwhile, the other students stood around watching. None of them bothered to help. Instead, they looked at Yu with disgust and called him a failure. Fortunately, just as things were about to get worse, a girl appeared out of nowhere and kicked the martial arts guy in the head, knocking him out. She scolded him, saying that harassing amateurs was an embarrassment to martial arts. Her name was Nico, a student from the athletic program and an undefeated martial arts champion. Standing beside her were her sisters, Kazuki, the eldest, from the performing arts program, who was the star of a world-famous theater troupe, and Miwa, the youngest, from the advanced program, who had aced every subject on the entrance exam. Together, the three were known as the Three Royals, the sovereigns who essentially ruled the school. After learning that Yu had no talent, they looked disappointed and told him to leave, saying there was no place for him at Psycha Academy. But Yu quickly replied that he had already decided to join the general education program. That response left them confused, wondering if their school even had such a program. As Yu tried to walk away, they stopped him and ordered him to clean the dojo first. This annoyed Yu, but since he didn't want any more trouble, he reluctantly did as they said. When Nico and the other returned, they were stunned to find the dojo spotless, so clean it looked brand new. The scene then shifted to Yu's past. As a child, he had tried practicing acting, hoping to become like his mother. But the first time he saw her perform, his dream was crushed. He realized she was a prodigy, while he was nothing more than mediocre. After that, he kept trying other things, but failed at each attempt. And little by little, his relationship with his mother grew distant. Then one day, his mother fell ill. During that time, Yu noticed she would often rewatch a series she had once co-starred in. It was a show about a family, and she played the mother. The role was relatively small compared to her other work, but she loved it dearly. Watching her, Yu came to understand. What she had always wanted deep down was a family like the one in that series. That realization led to a true heart-to-heart between mother and son for the first time in years. Days later, after his mother passed away, Yu found that she had left him a note. In it, she wished for him to someday have a happy family of his own. Back in the present, Yu arrived at his adopted family's home, and he was amazed by how large the house was. He couldn't help but think they must be rich. As he began unpacking his things, Nico suddenly appeared out of nowhere and attacked him, mistaking him for a burglar. So, Yu quickly told her to calm down. And once she saw his face, Nico recognized him and demanded to know what he was doing there. But then she accidentally slipped and fell to the floor. Seeing this, Yu smirked and teased. So even prodigies end up on their hands and knees sometimes. The comment made Nico flush with anger, and she prepared to fight him again. But before she could, Yu tossed her a towel and began drying her hair, leaving her confused and asked what he was doing, which Yu casually replied that preventing colds was part of martial arts. His words caught her off guard, making her blush. Just then, she heard her two sisters approaching. Panicked, Nico quickly pulled his hand away. As soon as her sisters came in and saw Yu, they immediately demanded to know what was going on. Just as Yu was about to explain everything, his phone rang. It was the sister's father calling. It turned out that Yu's late mother had been close friends with him, and he had also been one of her benefactors. Now that she had passed away, he wanted to take care of Yu so that her talent and legacy could live on. He then asked Yu to get along with his daughters. After hearing all of this, the sisters had no choice but to accept Yu into their family. Looking around, Yu was surprised to see the house in complete disarray, with an unpleasant smell coming from the sink. The sisters immediately looked embarrassed. Nico then glared at Kazuki, saying she was supposed to do the dishes. But Kazuki quickly defended herself, claiming she had been too busy. As they argued, Yu noticed broken dishes on the floor, and before he could say anything, Miwa quickly explained that Kazuki must have tried to wash them, but failed and simply gave up. Kazuki's face turned red with embarrassment as her excuse was exposed. Curious, Yu then asked who was responsible for the laundry. Kazuki pointed at Miwa, saying it was her duty. But Miwa hurriedly made an excuse, saying there were just too many clothes for her to handle. Noticing the notes in Miwa's hand, Yu smiled and volunteered to take care of it instead, explaining that he didn't want her notes to go to waste. His words caught Miwa off guard, and she blushed. Yu then looked at Nico and asked if that meant she was in charge of house cleaning. This annoyed Nico, and she demanded to know if he was enjoying exposing their flaws. Not wanting Yu to look down on them, the sisters then tried to act cool by boasting about how good their grades were compared to his. But Yu didn't care and simply kept cleaning. Before long, the house looked brand new, leaving the sisters impressed. The next day, Yu was woken up by a loud noise downstairs. When he went to check, he was surprised to see the sisters already awake and busy with their morning routines, though what they were doing looked nothing like the routines of ordinary people. Kazuki then informed Yu that they would all be heading out and asked him to watch the house while they were gone. This confused Yu since there was no school that day, but Kazuki explained that they still had important matters to take care of on campus. Wanting at least a small moment together, Yu asked Kazuki if they could at least eat breakfast together, but the sisters, too pressed for time, brushed him off. Watching them in a hurry reminded Yu of his mother, who had always been so busy. She would prepare plenty of food for herself and never had time to sit down and eat with him. Yu then feels disappointed as he had hoped to experience what a real family was like, but now he couldn't help, wondering if it would ever work out between him and the three sisters. Afterward, while Yu was eating breakfast alone, Nico suddenly walked in and was surprised by how good the food he had cooked looked. Still, she resisted the urge to join him, pointing out that the meal was horribly unbalanced. Annoyed, Yu asked if she counted nutrients every time she ate. Nico then gave him a serious look and replied that of course she did. After all, you are what you eat. Nutrition was just as important as training. She couldn't be the best athlete without having the best body. Hearing this, Yu began to understand them a little more. They were so driven that they always put being the best ahead of everything else. Later, just as the sisters were about to leave, Yu stopped them, saying they had forgotten something. Alarmed, they quickly checked their bags, but found nothing missing. To their shock, Yu simply smiled and said, "Have a nice day." The words caught them completely off guard, and they left, calling him an idiot for saying something so cheesy. Yet, despite their protests, all three of them couldn't help but blush. If you come this far, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thank you.